Hey, honey pies, I'm Nakia Chay, and welcome to the Chay Way, where we are building the life that God designed for us, a life that we can love, not one that we have to run away from. Now, you'll have to excuse how I'm looking right now because I just got off work from working an overnight 12-hour shift. And with that being said, we are actually going to do a Get Unready with Me as I prepare for bed. But before I knock out, I wanted to do a devotional where I'm discussing something from James 1, chapter 5 that has been, kind of just I've been mulling over for the last couple weeks. Because I find that we might be making one mistake that is blocking us from God's wisdom. Because have you ever felt like you're praying to God because you need answers, you need help making a decision, you need some wisdom? Show me a sign, Lord. And you are praying fervently, but it feels like your prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling. Like, hello, God, do you hear me? Well, again, that could be because of the mistake that you're making that is blocking God's wisdom. So we're going to get right into it today, okay? So you're going to turn to James 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So I really like this verse because, one, it is telling me two really glaring things about God in this verse. One, that he is very generous, okay? He gives freely, it says, to anyone that asks. The other part is he's not finding any fault. So you can ask him for advice, you can ask him to help you, and he's not gonna judge you for it. It's a judgment-free zone, which we cannot always say about the people that we seek out for advice, right? If you go to your homegirl asking for advice about whether or not you should take Ray Ray back after he done cheated on you 5 times, stole your car, wrecked it, ghosted you, only to reach out to you 2 months later, talk about, hey, big head. Well, she might look at you sideways, okay? But God is not going to do that. So I feel like there's some comfort in knowing that you can truly bring anything to him and he's not going to judge you for it. But instead, he's going to freely give you wisdom, right? Generously, without finding fault. I love that. I love that for us. The key, though, to this verse, what we're supposed to be doing is that we actually have to notice that we lack wisdom so that we can ask. The beginning of the verse says, if any of you lacks wisdom. Well, first we got to be honest about the fact that we lack it so that we can ask for it, okay? So like I said, I think it is so comforting to know that when you ask, he's going to give generously. However, there's a but. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. So here we are asking God for something, in this case, wisdom, right? But we have the audacity to not believe what he says. And I have definitely been guilty of this, okay? But it's just like you're literally praying for God to give you direction. He gives it to you, but you decide to go your own way. It's literally like putting directions in the GPS, and then you decide, I'm not going to listen to the GPS. I'm going to go the way I want to go. And you get lost, and then you want to be surprised that you're lost. This is what makes us wishy-washy, unstable, all right? He likens us to a wave tossed by the wind. Now, if you've ever been to the beach, and if you've been to the beach during a storm, and you see the waves going to and fro, that's you. That's us when we doubt what God is saying. Why do we do that? It's like we're praying for God to give us direction, but we've already really got our own plan, right? We got our backup plan ready because it's like, if God isn't really telling me what I want to hear, this is what I'm going to do instead. So this is the block, right? This is the mistake that single-handedly blocks you from receiving God's wisdom. So in order to get what we're seeking, we have got to have faith without the doubting. So Matthew 11:23-24 says, "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." So verse 7 says, that person, that doubting person, that person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all that they do. Oh! So what does it mean exactly to be double-minded? To me, that says you out here serving two masters. Okay? Matthew 6, verse 24 says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." So this verse is basically saying, when you ask God for advice, yet you take your own advice and not God's advice, it's basically saying that you hate God. Now, I know that seems very drastic, but that's what the Bible said. Okay, you just read the verse with me. It basically says that you hate one and love the other. So if you're taking your advice, that means you love you. And if you're not taking God's advice, that means you hate him. Or that you're devoted to one and you despise the other. Same thing. That means I'm devoted to self because I trust in my own understanding, which means I'm despising God. So when we think about it that way, it really just makes you realize how serious it is to doubt what God is telling you. That's deep. Because normally I wouldn't think of it like that. Like, oh, I doubt it. It's fine. God understands. Sometimes I have questions or I'm a little reserved. No. That's not what it says. It's basically saying, you out here hating me. You don't even like me, do you? That's what God is saying. So this begs the question, where does your loyalty lie? With self or with God? Again, this is the mistake that blocks the wisdom. So back in the day, back in my younger days, I was dating this guy, y'all. And to be honest, I knew he wasn't it. I knew he was not the one. I knew I really didn't have no business dating this man. Okay. And I prayed about it. I did. I prayed about the situation. And God definitely let me know, like, you don't have no business dating this man. But y'all, he was fine. Okay. I didn't listen to the Lord. My loyalties lied with the fine man that had the 6-pack, honey, the curly hair, and the accent. That is where my loyalties lie. And so I stayed with him. And y'all, that whole relationship was a mess. It was a hot mess. Being with him was like riding a roller coaster without my seatbelt on. Like the seatbelt didn't work. Okay. There was no security. And I was on this ride and I knew that this big old drop and a loop was coming. So what's crazy is not only was the relationship a mess, y'all, my life at that time was a mess. It was like nothing was going right. Okay. I remember I was studying for my GRE. I failed it. I had never failed a test in my life. Okay. I was going through it and it was really, really overwhelming. But I couldn't blame nobody but myself. In relation to this verse, I was a wave in the wind, blowing about. Okay. Because I was blocking God's wisdom because I was being double-minded. And I placed my loyalties elsewhere. And they were in the wrong place. And it wasn't until I cut him off that my life then stabilized. I know I'm not alone in that, okay? We've all had those situationships, honey. Those relationships with the red flags just a waving. The friendships with the red flags just a waving. Jobs, red flags waving everywhere. But we still just kind of ignore it because it just doesn't match what we hoped. And we keep thinking we can just will ourselves to what we want. But it just doesn't work like that. Hebrews 11:6 says, and without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. It's hard to seek God when you over here just grabbing up all the red flags and waving along with them. So my question to you all is, where have you been second guessing the very answer that you prayed for? So now we know. We know the mistake, right? It's not that God is not answering us. It's not that God is ignoring us. Our prayers are not bouncing off the ceiling. It's merely because we're doubting God. We're doubting him and we're blocking his wisdom. And not only are we blocking his wisdom, okay, we are not receiving anything that he wants to give us. We are getting tossed about like waves in the wind. We're double-minded, serving two masters, which basically means that we're devoted to self and despise God. We can't please him if we tried with this lack of faith, okay? Is this really what you're looking for when you are seeking and praying and asking God? Is that the result that you want? I know it's not the result that I want. And I hope that's not the result that you want either. Just remember, God is generous. He is faithful. The issue is not his silence. It's often our doubt. Okay? So let's pray real quick. Lord, give us the courage to trust the wisdom that you provide the first time. All right, honey pies, that's all for today's devotional. It is time for me to go to bed, okay? I would love to know if this hit home for you. If you are currently struggling with praying, hearing God's voice, but then also dealing with double-mindedness at the same time, let me know down in the comments. I would love to get some feedback from you. Also, stick around because next week we're going to be talking about how sometimes following God can make you the bad guy. Until next time, be blessed and keep on building the life that God designed for you, because that is the Chay way.